Hello, Grace Community Church. We are in March 14th reading. And today we're looking at Deuteronomy 6 through 9. Now, this is one of my favorite sections of reading so far. In this section, we see Moses kind of drawing to the end of his first speech. If you remember, last reading, we had an interval or an interlude between one part of the speech to the other part of the speech. And some scholars say that that indicates that this is a second speech. And so there are four speeches in Deuteronomy. Now, I think that this is just part of the first speech because it's very similar. It continuously reminds the people of what God has done. And we see it here in several of these chapters that we're reading. What we also see is one of the most famous Jewish prayers called the Shema, which is, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." Now, in this section, it says, it's the NLT, and so it says it a little differently. It says, "Listen, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." And this is where we see the great commandment, right, that Jesus shares, that you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your strength. This is where Jesus is drawing from, is the Shema. We are called, Jesus says we are called to love the Lord in the same way that God is calling the Israelites as they go into the promised land. Again, what we see is that God is asking the people to remember. This next few chapters, you will see the word remember or don't forget so many times you'll probably lose count. But we see it here again as well. And he tells us to remember and to remind our children and all the ancestors down from the age, or all the descendants down through the ages. And he says, you also must recount to them what you have experienced over the last 40 years. Now, in chapter 7, he paints the picture. This is what God is calling you to do, to go into the promised land. Now you're going to fight 7 different armies, and they are bigger than you. Now, that is not necessarily the vote of confidence that I would like. I would love to fight armies that are smaller than me. But that's why Moses is giving this speech, to remind them of who God is, what God has done, because he is the one who will go before them and defeat the enemy. It doesn't matter how big it is, how great it is, how much more powerful they are, how tall their walls are, as it says. Moses is reminding them, God is calling you to destroy and to kick out these other countries. Now, in chapter 8, the pattern continues. He continues to remind them to remember, to not forget. He reminds them of what they are going to receive because of what they are going to do in conquering the land. They're going to receive, there's going to be fountains, pools of water, fountains and springs that gush out of the valleys and hills, the land with wheat and barley, grapevines, figs, fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil, and honey. And he's saying that these things are all what you will receive. And that's part of the motivation. Now, we will receive some wonderful things from God, and he's already done some wonderful things. So when you see armies, when you see situations and trials that are bigger than you would expect, remember that God is going to bring you into something better. That's what Moses has reminded them. Look at what's to come. But then he also says, when you get into this land, you will have the temptation to view it as, look at what we have done. But he says, no, I am the one who gives you the ability to accumulate wealth. I'm the one who gives you the ability to conquer. If you say that you're the one who has done this, what you're doing is you're denying the power of God. And so he says, if you do that, if you forget the power of God, you will also be kicked out, just like you are kicking out the people. Now, chapter 9 reminds us of the victory that we get through grace. He says, God reminds them through Moses, you were not chosen because you were the best and you were so good. No, you were chosen, you were the smallest. And you are not going in there because you're not going into the promised land because you're so good. Actually, the countries in there are so wicked. And so you are my instrument to bring judgment. It is not because of anything you have done, but it is because of a promise that I have made. And we are recipients of the same promise. Those who are Christian, God promised the ancestors of Israel that their descendants would be as numerous as the stars, and there would be a prophet that would be greater. We'll see in just a few chapters that there's a prophet that's greater than Moses that will bring the people back to God. And we know that that prophet is Jesus. He brought the people back, but he also brought the people from that were far off, Gentiles, into relationship with him. And that is the hope we have. God is here. He doesn't choose us because we're so good. He actually makes us good because of what Jesus has done. We get to put on Jesus' righteousness, not our own. Because if we are like the Hebrews, we are like the Canaanites, nothing that we have done has made us good enough for what God is calling us to do. But God calls us anyway because of what Jesus has done. Because of Jesus' finished work on the cross, we can be people who are not stubborn. We can be people who enter the promised land and give glory to God in every avenue that he is worthy, and that is all avenues. So I hope you enjoyed the reading today. God bless you. See you tomorrow.